Hey guys, this is Kelsey Jeffries, and this episode of the MusicDicts is brought to you by Crooked Fest. Crooked Fest is an all-day music festival held at 112 Corley Road, Belington, West Virginia, on Saturday, July 18th. Admission is $10 a person upon entry. Kids ages 10 and under get in free. The gates open at 9 o'clock, and music starts at noon. Campsites will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. Tents and campers are welcome. To kick the music off at noon, Dearborn. 1 p.m., there will be Gorgons. 1:45, Howlin' Hollow. 3 p.m., me, Kelsey Jeffries. 4:15, The Five and Dime. 5:30, Kayla Medlin. 6:45, Hallion. And to close the evening off at 8 p.m., Josh Folmsby and the Crooked Roots. We hope you'll join us for an evening of fun and entertainment. Crooked Fest. It's time to get crooked. Get crooked.
What's going on, Music Dicks, or as we fondly have coined the phrase, dickheads out there. We appreciate you guys listening. As you saw from the title, I'm assuming that you saw in the title, Kelsey Jeffries is here today. She's going to be telling us about herself, about her music, all the things that you should know. And it should be said that this is the second time we're trying this because good old technology screwed the pooch and erased the whole episode. So Kelsey is here today, and she's going to be answering all the questions she's probably heard from us before, but she's going to sound twice as excited when she answers them.
Absolutely.
There we go.
So you excited for Crooked Fest?
I am excited for Crooked Fest. Less than 2 weeks.
Right,
I'm excited.
It's getting close. So am I. Josh went and checked it out today. He said it looked pretty good.
Actually,
Did you really?
Yes, actually went to Belington. In the middle, it's in the middle of nowhere. If you guys haven't learned or figured that out yet, it is in the middle of nowhere. When I tell you that, I mean, it's not really in the middle of nowhere, but like compared to somewhere, it's not there. It's nowhere. But it's out there in the sticks. We're not going to have to worry about no noise ordinances or anything like that. So we're ready to have a good time. Kelsey's one of the performers there. If you guys don't know that by now as well, that's why she's so excited for Crooked Fest, because she's going to be performing for all those people and hopefully you that's going to be there. And that's coming up on July 18th. I promise I didn't have to be reminded of what the date was by anybody here in the studio. So Kelsey is excited. She's ready for that. So let's get down to it. Let's start this interview. Let's learn some stuff about her that you all do not know yet.
So how long have you been playing music? And what exactly got you into it?
I've been playing music probably since because I got my first guitar whenever I was, I think, 11, 12 or 13. And then I had been singing beforehand in choir in school, but actually performing and playing guitar, I would say probably around 2013, 2012, 2013 was when I started
7-8 years.
playing. Yep.
So were you in choir or like band or anything in school?
Yes, I was in choir in grade school and in middle school, and then in high school I did band, marching band, theater. I did all that in high school.
So which one was your favorite out of all of them?
Probably band.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, band was my least favorite. I liked choir a lot. Choir was really fun. All them trips out of state for choir competitions and stuff, that was always...
I probably should have gotten to do some choir. I could probably sing.
Yeah, man.
Can't now.
It could have helped you.
Could have.
It might have. I'm not going to say it could have. There might have been a chance that it helped you, Tristan.
So how many times a year do you normally play out?
How many times a year
Yeah.
do I normally play out? That's kind of hard to gauge.
Okay.
Because it just depends on how many shows I can get booked each month. I try to get, as many as I can depending on what I have going on. But if I can get like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 a month, that's ideal.
Well, and I mean, I think they don't know, but I know. You also work, you know
I
what
do
I mean?
work.
So the music thing's not your full-time gig, so... trying to squeeze those shows in on the weekends when, you're not guaranteed to have those weekends off, it makes it tough.
That's still quite a bit, though. 3 or 4 times a month.
I mean, if I could do music full time, I absolutely would. But having a day job as well, that it gets kind of difficult to try to book shows as well as doing my day job.
So where are you from?
I currently reside in Davis, West Virginia. I did live here in Harrison County for about 14 or 15 years before I moved up to Davis. So I've lived there for about 3 years now.
So what's the music scene like up there? What are some of your favorite places to play up there?
There's some music places up there to play, but there's not a whole lot. There's Mountain State Brewing Company, which is like the original one that's in Thomas.
Okay, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yep, that's the original one. I think they've got one in Bridgeport, Morgantown, Thomas. And then there's Wicked Wilderness, which they just opened up. They just opened up this past Friday, I believe, so that's really cool. And then there's the Purple Fiddle, which they usually want original music. I mean, they say you can play covers, but they really want original music. And there's bands there that play from all over the place, nationally, several states, all over the place.
So I've never been to Davis. What kind of music is usually played up there?
Usually they have like Americana, really, and Josh can agree with that too, because he's played up at Wicked Wilderness as well. Me and him both have played there before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big music scene up there. It's not like a big town or anything like that. You're not talking Morgantown or like even a Fairmont or a Clarksburg. It's a small little town, but I would say that it's really like Americana, folky, almost bluegrassy driven type stuff up there a lot. I mean, that's not everybody that goes up there, but that's the kind of feeling that I get when I go up there. Is it's kind of that still. I don't want to say country, but I mean, Americana, folky, bluegrassy type
I feel like
stuff.
that's a lot of West Virginian cities.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a big city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know. It's not big. I don't know what the population is in Davis, but I know it's not very large.
No, it's not. And like Thomas and Davis, they're like 2 miles between each other. So, like I said, with the whole music scene, it's more, original type stuff, more like bluegrass, sort of country original stuff is what people kind of play up there.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I play up at Wicked Wilderness, like she talked about earlier. I don't play bluegrass or Americana and stuff like that. But I mean, that's the feeling that I get from being up there. It's a cool little town, man. If you haven't been there, anybody that hasn't been there, check it out. It's a nice little eclectic, little cool little town. There's like 4 or 5 restaurants there along the main drag there in Davis, and then you got Stumptown, which is a brewery up there. It's really, really nice. Wicked Wilderness is a great place, great food. Usually great entertainment there. And then you go down the road in Thomas, and like she said, Mountain State's on the way, and then Purple Fiddle's in Thomas. Thomas is actually a lot smaller than Davis, but
oh, yeah.
Purple Fiddle's basically Thomas. That's what that is. I mean, I believe there's a post office, but I mean,
okay.
The Purple Fiddle's there. There's a few little, I think there's like an art gallery and a few other things like there on the main strip there in Thomas, but they're both very small towns.
Sounds a little bit like Elkins.
Nothing like Elkins.
No, it's way smaller than Elkins.
Okay.
Yes.
It's smaller than Milford, man.
Okay, I guess I meant like culturally, I suppose.
Culturally, maybe. I mean, there's a lot.
All the heritage stuff going on in Elkins.
Yeah, what, heritage? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I thought you said heroin. I was going to say, though, that's not wrong either. There's a lot of heroin
More
going
like
on
Clarksburg, but-
everywhere right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a cool little spot. If you haven't been there, check it out. And I don't mean to speak for Kelsey, but someone that plays up there like I do, it's a really cool spot, and I like going up there for sure.
Okay, so what genre of music do you play? Like, how would you describe yourself?
I wouldn't describe myself as just one genre, because that's really hard to pinpoint for me, because whenever I play a variety of different music. I play country music, rock music, original music. So I'm kind of based, and whenever I play somewhere, I kind of base what I play off of where I'm playing and the type of crowd that's going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, reading a venue, that's always smart. I mean, I think that because you don't play with a band right now, you're doing acoustic stuff. So I hate to say that, but it's always good to kind of say like acoustic rock or acoustic country. You know what I mean? That way, kind of people get a more, because I mean, you could say rock and you could say country,
but it is a different vibe entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different subgenres from rock and especially country. I mean,
yes, this is very true. A lot of people don't understand that at all.
No.
They think it's all the same.
Absolutely not.
It's
I mean,
not.
you look what people called country in the 90s compared to what people are calling country today, and it's like
Completely different.
two different genres.
And even the
It's not even
70s to the
subgenres.
90s.
Like it's two different genres. Yeah, absolutely.
But even like 60s and 70s country was different. I mean, even country in the 50s was, more like what we would consider rock and roll in some parts.
Well,
In some ways.
okay. You believe what you want, I believe.
I mean, okay.
I mean, I'm definitely saying
For
that I
instance,
understand, like, yes, there's some things that make sense. in
Johnny
each genre.
Cash,
Yeah,
a lot of people say are country, but a lot of people say he's also rock and roll.
yeah.
Kind of melts the line between
absolutely.
those
So, I mean, you play by yourself now, but you used to play with a band.
Yes. I played with a band back in 2013. My first year of college, I started with them. They're still around today. They were called the Fifth Gear, and we played all over the place in Clarksburg. We played in Morgantown. I was with them for about a year and a half. Like I said, we played all over the place, all over North Central West Virginia. I think we played in Granville. We played, like I said, Morgantown, Clarksburg. We might have played in Bridgeport, I believe, but we had a really big following, and we like varied in age. I mean, our drummer was 12, so he was absolutely insane. He still is today, but we tried to get gigs wherever we could. And like I said, Main Street Cafe, we had a huge following there. That was in Clarksburg, and Josh had seen us play there several times.
Yeah, shout out to Daniel Bonner, wherever you're at. If you ever hear this, I'm sure that you won't because, we're too good of friends. You don't check out the projects that I'm doing. Thanks for having me on your show a couple times there, Bonner. But anyway, no, Main Street Cafe in Clarksburg was a really, really cool place. I mean, it let so many different genres and type of music breathe to where a lot of places don't do that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of places in the state that are, like, strictly metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of places that you're not going to get in unless you're playing metal. And there's a lot of places that, vice versa. Mm-hmm. If you don't play country, they're not letting you in the door. I mean, a lot of Eagles clubs are like that to this day.
See, that was kind of Joe's idea in mind when we first started doing shows there at Main Street Cafe, was to have like a bunch of different genres. We always had a rapper most of the shows. We had, like a post-hardcore band, and I Killed Medusa. We had some heavier bands there. We always tried to do different things, and I think that is a really cool thing about that music venue in particular.
I mean, it's obvious they were targeting to the younger age range, the teenagers and stuff like that. Because, when you're a teenager, who can't say that they don't know what the fuck's going on in their life? You know what I mean?
And Clarksburg didn't really have too much before that.
Well,
they had bars and stuff like that they've always had. But
yeah, but Main Street, whenever it was still around, everybody was there. I mean, like everybody who was like in our age group was there. Everybody. Yeah. I mean, whenever we played, there were probably about 6 bands that were there usually most of the time. I think there were a few times where we had played there just us. The majority of the time, there were about 6 bands, including us, who played there. They ranged, or they varied in different types of genres. I mean, you had like hardcore, you had, hard rock, you had us who play like mostly rock music and stuff. And then we had some original tunes that we played as well, but everybody was down there, whether it was a Friday or a Saturday. Mm-hmm. I mean, that place was packed.
Even throughout the week, you could see like little jazz artists and people playing acoustic stuff all the time.
Yeah, well, that's like we used to do open mic night during the week. So, you would have people in there for that. But, it's kind of, I don't know if it goes without being said, but, I can relate the Crooked Fest lineup with all these different genres to that, like, kind of thing that they were doing back at the cafe, because I was always a fan of that, hey, just because you play metal doesn't mean you have to do a show with a bunch of metal bands, or just because you're playing rock doesn't mean you can't be on the same lineup as somebody that's rapping. I don't know. And once again, for those of you that are playing the MusicDicts drinking game, then take a shot that every time I say to each their own, to each their own. But, I like that different styles of music altogether because I don't have to go to different shows to see different things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that it's nice to have that different range of genres on one show and one bill, because you might not be going there just for one thing. You know what I mean?
And it exposes you to so many different types of music that you're not normally exposed to. Most people only listen to a couple genres like normally throughout the day-to-day basis. A lot of people don't try to find new music.
And playing there too, I remember, before we would play or after we would play, I remember meeting members from other bands. They would, after we played, if we were early in the lineup, then, they would come up to us afterwards and say, hey, you guys sounded really good. I liked your guys' set list or your performance. And, all the bands who were there, they had all their merch out, and we would go through, we would support each other.
I agree. That's was one of the best parts about it.
That's what we did, was we supported each other, and we would go through and like either get a t-shirt that they had or a sticker or whatever it may be. It was awesome while it was there.
Yeah, music, just like a music family. Like she said, you meet so many people, not just playing music, but like at the cafe, that was another really big thing about that spot. Like I have friendships to this day that without knowing, or without going down there, not knowing, without going down there and being involved in the things that I was involved in, I wouldn't know these musical, people that I know from that.
And that's how I met Josh. Yeah, was down at the cafe.
Really?
Yep.
I can't remember what his name was, but there was a bass player that used to play with Sum 41 that played with Black Cat Attack, I think was the band name. Like they played down there, so they had some bigger names down there. It wasn't just local stuff, but like I said, big shout out to Daniel, because that place is always really cool, and it always felt like home. As long as you love music or you were a musician, like it felt like home no matter who you were.
So speaking of other musicians, do you have anyone in particular maybe around here that you'd like to work with? Or are you just aspiring to do solo stuff right now?
Just right now, it's just me solo. I would like to play with a band, if I find the right people, because it's really hard to find musicians that are committed the same way that I am. So right now, it's just me playing solo. But like I said, I would like to play with people if I find the right people to play with.
I agree. It's hard to find people that are as committed as you are and that have the same taste in music and want to do the same things that you aspire to do.
Well, commitment, I believe, is the biggest thing, because I think it goes without being said, there's a lot of people in bands that maybe not that aren't loving what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they're committed to what they're doing. That's what it comes down to, I think, at the end of the day. Because, I mean,
I can agree with that.
it's the fact of like, hey, you know, you can either play music and work a job. You can either play music and that's your job, or you can just do it for fun here and there. I mean, it's the fact of like, hey, I'm willing to say, this is what I want to do. I'm going to, you know, my schedule for Friday and Saturday for the whole entire month is nothing but music. And then finding 2 to 3 at least other people that are committed enough to say, hey, I agree with that. It's tough.
It is really hard. And especially around here, like the music scene isn't nearly as big as it is in some other states, especially for certain genres like, you know, metal. Metal isn't really that big here. You make money usually paying like bar music.
I mean, it's
jam band
it's definitely
stuff.
a big thing. I would say
Bluegrass.
metal's a huge thing around here. It's just not a money-making thing around here. Metal's one of those things where like you have 5 to 6 bands on a show and then they're splitting like a $300 door.
Yeah, which
You know what I mean? It's different.
It's hard to make money from that. Yeah,
It's different than being a cover band that plays 3 to 4 hours of covers.
yeah.
I mean, look at it how you want. Some people frown upon cover bands that do all covers. I mean, we do a lot of covers. We do a lot of originals, and I know Kelsey has originals.
Yep.
And she plays covers too. But at the end of the day, it's like if you can not only play your original music, but play covers that you enjoy, it shouldn't be anybody's, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, too, is whenever you play covers, those are songs that people already know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are songs that people can, you know, sing along to. But at the same time, whenever you introduce your original music, you know, you're putting that out there for people to listen to, for people to be exposed to. So, I mean, I don't think it's bad at all to play covers, you know, if you play covers and originals. And I know that Josh's band does that as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's just people out there that are like, oh, you're a cover band. Oh, you don't play original music. Well, we do both, but we do play a majority of covers. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry to say it, and it's going to offend some people, but there's people out there that play nothing but original music, and they only have a half hour to an hour set. That's all they can do.
Yeah.
You're not going to make money doing that. And that's fine. If you have a job and you're doing this for fun, that's great. But at the end of the day, and I've said it before, like a lot of big famous bands started out playing covers, and that's how they got found. I mean,
A lot of them.
once again, take another shot, to each their own. So we've already been over it. You play covers, but you also do originals, and you're going to play an original later on in the show.
Yes.
So that's a little surprise that we got for you all. So what are some musicians or bands or acts that you really, really are into or you really like, or, you know, just some favorite musicians or bands?
Probably some favorite musicians or bands. One, female, well, actually 2, really. Joan Jett would probably be one of them, Stevie Nicks, Sheryl Crow, but the biggest one probably would be Katie Tunstall. I was able to see her this past August, and it was absolutely amazing to be able to see her live, because I had listened to her probably since I was in middle school, if I had to guess. My mom got her first CD from the library, brought it home to me, and said, hey, you should check her out, listen to her. So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll listen to her and see what I think. I listened to that CD probably a million times, if I had to guess. And I loved every single one of those songs on there. So to be able to see her, you know, last year after several years of listening to her and seeing her right in front of me was just mind-blowing.
So you didn't find her on MTV or VH1?
No.
See, that's crazy.
Nope, but I knew of her song Black Horse and a Cherry Tree. I knew of that song, but I didn't know any of her other music
stuff? Okay.
besides that song. So, like I said, those are probably some female artists that are influences of mine. As far as bands, probably Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd's a big one. The Beatles, Boston, all the good classic rock bands from the 70s and 80s.
Too many to name.
Yeah, yep, too many to name.
Everybody has their own little thing that they kind of hold near and dear to their heart music-wise, and I know exactly what you mean by seeing somebody that you really respect as a musician in concert. It's a different feeling than just going to a regular concert or somebody that you kind of like.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you can achieve what you want to achieve, basically.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's like with Dave Matthews for me. I've seen him fucking 15 times,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. Like, it's still great every time I see them.
But also, even a little bit further than that, I think you like learn a little bit how they do things, but you take lessons from them. I don't know if like when you watch Dave, if you looked at any of his equipment or anything that he was like doing with any of his pedals or anything
for
like
me,
that.
seeing somebody that much and them being that much of an influence on me, like, not to say that I'm like copycat over here, but like you pick up on mannerisms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, the way they move their feet or the way they move around on stage, you pick up on that stuff. I mean, how many people back in the day were doing the same thing that like Mick Jagger was doing and Elvis and all that
Half
stuff.
the
You know what I
80s
mean?
probably.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, you kind of emulate or try to be like your heroes. You know what I mean? Whether it's music, whether it's, you know, you're a dirt bike rider,
The
whether
greatest
you're a
artist still.
skateboarder. You know what I mean?
And whenever she was on stage too, whenever she was playing, I mean, she was moving. You know, she was moving around whenever there were breaks. You know, where she wasn't singing, and she constantly tried to get the crowd going. You know, and she was the opener. She was the opener for Hall & Oates because they were on tour. They were on this national U.S. tour, so she was opening up for them, and she was like the first one out on stage, and there weren't a whole lot of people there. I mean, most of the people were there to see Hall & Oates, obviously.
Yeah.
But when she got up there, I mean, she just kept the crowd going the whole time. And that's what I try to do, too, is whenever I play, is stage presence is a big thing for me. Stage presence, eye contact, all of that. I mean, I want to be able, when I'm playing, I want to be able to connect with you, whether it be like from a lyric from a song or by me just looking at you or like a facial expression or something. Like that's a big thing for me whenever I'm performing.
Well, and I mean, I think for us, like Tristan, I don't know how much you can relate, but like stage presence when you're by yourself and you're an acoustic musician and you don't have a backing band,
Yeah,
like
it's completely different.
well, not only is it completely different, but like it's tough to do.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you almost feel like you're that person. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't
yeah.
want to be that person that's just like, hey, everybody, listen to me. But like sometimes you have to be, or you're not going to get a reaction out of people. And it's like I've played shows so many times where, you know, you'll try all you can to get somebody into something, and like you hear like one or two people clap, but then you get off stage and everybody's like, oh, you're so good. When are you going back up? Like, oh, can you play this? Can you play that? It's like, I appreciate the affection you showed while I was on stage.
Some people just don't know how to be like in a crowd, I swear. Some crowds really suck, even if they are enjoying the show.
Well, I mean,
like I've seen it, man. I've seen nobody move at a Slayer show in Ohio, and their lead singer stared at me for 30 seconds because I was the only one fucking moving.
Well, I mean, we play a lot of music in the state, and you're not always going to get that lively crowd. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Most of the times you're playing bars or restaurants. Like, how many people are really there just to see music?
And I can agree with that. You know, I can second that because there have been shows that I have played where, you know, like I said, stage presence and just like getting the show going, you know, on a good start. You know, I'll try to get people into it and moving. And sometimes people will, you know, I'll look because I always scan the crowd when I'm playing. And I'll look and some people are singing along or seem really interested. And then there are other times where people are just sitting there. And that's really hard for me. Like, you know, being up there and playing and performing and then seeing people out there, you know, it doesn't look like they're into it, but they might be, you know, but they're just not showing it. That, you know, that can be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I almost take it as like, not that I'm promoting like use of any drugs or anything like that, but like I'm on stage. If people don't care, then I'll just kind of get lost in my own thing, like get lost in what I'm doing, like try to enjoy it that much more for myself because I'm like, hey, they might not be into it, but I do this for a reason. And I'm going to get lost in my own thing. That way I don't have to worry about how they think. It's like, hey, I know that this sounds good right now.
I think that's probably how I feel anytime I'm ever like playing little shows for any of my friends, but I just always want to show my music, and I think that's like how I've always performed, even with the band. Like I always, like you said, get lost in what I'm doing so much that
I mean, confidence I think comes with that too, but
Exactly,
at
yeah.
the same time it's like, you know, you're not doing it for the hell of it. I'm playing music because it's what I love to do.
exactly.
And I think inside of us, all of us can say, like, maybe not all of us, but I think most people that play music for a living, like at some point they either say like, hey, I need to continue to do this because I think I have something to offer, or they say, maybe this isn't for me, and then they kind of go, you know, their own way and do their own thing. Because, I mean, like I said, I can't speak for everybody. I've definitely heard it. I'm sure all of you have heard some people where you're like, I wonder why they're picking music as their career. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, I mean, you said that you would like to have a full band. So anybody out there listening that plays music that might be looking for a band that would like to, you know, get in contact with you, what would you like to do music wise? Like what would be the type of stuff that you want to be playing if you had a full band that was kind of like your band?
I would say probably more on the rock side. I mean, solo, I do a variety of different things, but with my voice, I think rock really fits well with it, you know, with like some of the high registers and, you know, the higher notes and stuff. And I can really do a lot of stage presence and move around on stage and stuff. So, and I do that solo as well. But if I have other people playing, you know, another person playing guitar or bass or whatever, that gives me the freedom to kind of move around. So I would probably say in the rock genre and original stuff as well.
Well, I mean, I think I agree with that. I think your voice suits rock the best. You have a very wide range, and not to sound insulting, but you have a loud voice.
Yes,
You know
I
what
can
I mean?
agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, but like it fits that rock thing. Like, you know what I mean? Where you are, where you don't have to necessarily try as hard because your voice is already very upfront and there. It's not as much of a task as for it is for a lot of people. So we mentioned earlier that you're going to be doing a song for us. We had Gorgons on before you. There will be Gorgons. They had music on SoundCloud. You don't really have music recorded out there, so we figured why not record you in the studio here and put it out there for people to hear. With that being said, this is the first time we've tried this. I don't expect it to sound like anything that Rick Rubin's done, you know what I mean?
The crooked sessions is what we're calling them.
Yeah, the crooked sessions. But anyway, you're going to do a song for us. Tell everybody what that is, what it's about, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so the original song that I'm going to be playing for you guys is called Rockstar Fantasy. I did write that song in college, and it's probably, out of the originals that I have written, it's probably the one that I'm most proud of, just because of it's a very upbeat song, and kind of the message with the song is, ever since I've started playing and performing, it's always been like a really big goal and a dream to be able to play for as many people as I can, because if I didn't play music, then I wouldn't be myself. Playing guitar, singing, that's me. And if I didn't have that, that would not be me at all. So, I've always had this, goal and kind of dream to be able to play for as many people as possible, whether it be if there's 5 people playing or 5 people listening to me or 500 people, it doesn't matter. As long as I can connect with one person or 2 people, even one, that's kind of what the song is talking about. And like I said, it's one of the songs that I'm most proud of writing. It just, the way it turned out, how it sounds, the chord progressions I used, I'm really proud of it. So that's the song I'm going to be playing for you guys.
I think as a writer, we all kind of have those 1 or 2, just a handful of maybe, depending on how big of a catalog you have, but we all have those certain songs that mean more to us or mean a certain thing more than other songs that we write. So I know what you're coming from with that. So this is Rockstar Fantasy by Kelsey Jeffries, as recorded in the studio.
Driving down the highway, sun in 75, focused on the road ahead, hoping it will lead me on the right path someday. Traveling back and forth from city to city, taking the stage every night and day, feeling this life has done me right, letting it all unfold one day at a time. This is the kind of life that's really worth living, always moving forward and never looking back. Something in my heart has always told me to follow my dream. I guess it's just this rockstar fantasy. Seeing thousands of faces staring back at me, loving that I'm the one they came to see. As I travel down this road, can only get better from here. it's just this rock star fantasy. I guess it's just this rock star fantasy.
All right, everybody, you just heard Rockstar Fantasy by Kelsey Jeffries, recorded in the studio.
So I was really impressed that you could play that song so many times because it took us a while to get everything going and recorded and whatnot. I was really impressed that you could like play it over and over and over again and just hit it perfectly every time. I thought that was pretty cool.
Thank you.
I did enjoy the song quite a bit.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
I thought it was very catchy as well.
Thank you. Yeah, whenever I was recording, it was like, I looked over and I was like, Tristan, are you coming up with the drum beat for it?
I was tapping along to it quite
Tristan
a
was
bit.
playing air drums like he was John Bonham. So Rockstar Fantasy by Kelsey Jeffries. I'm assuming they can expect to hear that at Crooked Fest while you're there.
Yes, and I'm probably going to play a couple other originals as well.
Good deal. So, you just heard an original by Kelsey Jeffries, everybody. Let's get back into this interview.
So, will this be the first festival that you've ever played?
With multiple bands, yes.
Okay.
I played a festival in Buchanan. It was like they have like Festival Fridays, but this was like years ago. I think it was like 2015 or so. They had, I think they had like a couple bands, and this was whenever I was still with the Fifth Gear. We played, and I think it was for maybe about an hour and a half or so. But if you want to call that like a festival, I mean, it's called Festival Fridays. And then in Shinsen, they have what's called like Frontier Days, and they have like multiple bands playing as well. So in several years, yes, this has been the first festival that I've done. Yeah.
Speaking of playing out, with this coronavirus going on, with it becoming a big thing again, it kind of threatening to shut everything down that wasn't even open at full capacity yet. Do you plan on, I don't want to say once everything gets back to normal because we don't know what normal is right now, but once everything gets back to a close to normal state, what are your plans? Do you plan to start playing out frequently again? I mean, what do you have in store?
Absolutely, yes. I plan to, because I've actually messaged a few places to see if they are booking shows, and one said that they, due to the uncertainty of what's going to happen, they don't know, when they're going to start booking people. So I have reached out to a few places to see if I can play, but if I can't, then, I'll continue doing Facebook Lives, because whenever this whole coronavirus stuff started, that's what I did. I mean, like, that's what a lot of musicians did, was they would do Facebook Lives.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
So yeah, Josh did, he still does Facebook Live. So I haven't done any in a couple of months, probably about a month or so. If it comes down to it and places aren't opening up to live music yet, then I'll continue to do Facebook Lives.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like just a oh woe is me or a cheapskate or anything, but I was doing live streams quite frequently once everything got shut down. I found that people were very, very generous when they didn't know how long that this was going to be a thing. I've kind of moved to like once a week, once every other week, like that. I don't want to be too forward. I mean, people have the decision of whether they want to watch or don't want to watch. I try to keep it to like the same day every week. That way people can kind of use it, like, set their watch to it. They know when it's going to happen. But yeah, the Facebook Live things, like I said, I can agree with that 100%. Like, that gave me a place to play again. Like I said, not everybody in the world's going to tune into it, but like, if people want to hear you, they're going to watch you. And that was a big thing for sure.
What if everyone in the world was watching? What song would you play?
You asking me or you asking
Both
Kelsey?
of you.
I couldn't pick like a single song, because there's so many songs that I like to play. I don't know if I could narrow it down to just one. If I had to, then it would take a while.
I mean, I don't know.
You're going to say Smells Like Teen Spirit? That's exactly
Smells
what I
Like
was
Teen
gonna
Spirit.
say.
Any song by Nirvana is what I would play. I would impress the billions of people with the Nirvana song. I mean,
I think maybe Cortez would be yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
because Josh can like span that song out for like 20 minutes probably if he wanted to.
I mean, Cortez is usually my go-to for sure. It's my favorite song to play probably, and like, people hear that, especially musicians, are like, it's 3 chords. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that song means more to me
Yeah,
than
but
most
it's
songs.
about what you do with
I
it.
think my cover of Billie Jean's pretty different and pretty good. I like doing Billie Jean. Baby One More Time by Britney Spears is a good one.
That was pretty cool.
You know what I mean?
That.
But that's where I stand with the covers that I do. Like, I don't want to do the Brown Eyed Girls and the Simple Mans and the Sweet Home Alabamas. Like, if somebody requests them, we can do them. But, like, that's not going to be a staple of our set list every night. You know what I mean? I think that goes without being said. Like, if you can be a musician and be comfortable in your own skin and play the music that you want to play, that you appreciate, it makes doing it as a living or just doing it for fun that much better, because you're not playing what people want to hear. You're playing what you want to hear. And if that's what people want to hear at the same time, like, good on you, like, congratulations. You're successfully making not only yourself but other people happy. But there's like a fine line, I think, as a musician, where it's like, sometimes you cross it, sometimes you stay over it, to where it's like, hey, do I play music that I want to play, or do I want to play music that they want to hear? Do I do a little bit of both? It's tough. That's a good question, though. If everybody was watching in the world, what would I play?
I have no idea.
And to add to that too, I think if I had to choose, I would choose one that wouldn't necessarily be generic.
Absolutely.
I would put a lot of thought into it and say, okay, well, this is a song, like a different song, one that's different, that's like set aside from everything else.
Okay.
I mean, I think I can speak for Tristan in saying that he'd probably play
Big City Hillbilly. Yeah. For sure.
All right. Well, that wasn't going to be what I was going to say, but, and may I just add once again that Tristan's views are not the views of all music dicks. They may be similar, but they may not be the same views. I digress. What would you play, Tristan?
If I really had to think about it.
So Big City Hillbilly was just your answer off the top of the head. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah. I would probably end up doing a cover that no one's really heard of. Like, I really enjoy.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like what Kelsey had said. Maybe not that no one's heard of, but something that's not something that everyone's heard.
Exactly. I would want to reinvent a song. I wouldn't even say as much as a cover. Like, I would want to completely reinvent a song. I've seen a lot of reinventions. Some of them are really bad. Some of them are really good. I would think, like, as much as maybe people don't want to say about Hurt, like, think about that song. If you've ever listened to the original and listened to Johnny Cash's version.
Yeah, I hurt myself listening to either version of that song. No, thank you. Anyway, we will digress. Once again, my opinions aren't all of the same as everybody of the Music Dicks here.
So when was the last time that you played out?
So the last time, it was funny that you just asked me, because I just looked at my calendar, and the last time I played was February 29th.
Really?
Was the last time I played.
God damn, it's been like 3 or 4 months now.
It's been a long time.
I can't count. I went to South Harrison.
Let's do the math. March, April, May, June, July.
5 months.
5 months.
So there's none of them.
I mean, if it was the 29th, then we'll say 4 months, because, 29th just passed.
Yeah, so 4 months since I've played out. So
at least 4.
So Crooked Fest will be the first time that I've played in 4 months.
That's so long.
Yeah, I'm not too far behind. Mine was like March 16th, something like that. So
you said about 14th, I'm pretty sure.
14th.
Yeah, because that's my birthday.
Oh, really?
That's the only reason I remember.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, and once everything started shutting down and restaurants and bars were closing, it's like, I can't play music now, and Josh can agree with me too. Like, we couldn't play music at all.
Well, and I feel like a lot of people were like, why don't you use this time to write music? And it's like, with what inspiration? Like, I'm completely, like, I don't even know if I'm going to work anytime soon. So what inspiration do I have to write? And some people, may look at that the exact opposite. Like, hey, that's all the inspiration I need to write a song. But for me, I'm like,
especially the blues.
Hulu and Netflix, frozen pizzas, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't writing very much. I mean, with that being said, we've been doing this podcast, or at least recording for this podcast, since April, May, somewhere in there. And, like, I'm a big gamer. I haven't turned my PlayStation on. Well, I take that back. My buddy Calvin and I got on Call of Duty the other day. But, like, before that, it had been like a month since I'd turned that on, because I've been doing so much editing. And Tristan knows, because I bitch at him all the time about this. But, like, I've been editing so much so that you guys can, like, have this tasty, stuff in your ears right now. MSR stuff. I can whisper. ASMR. Yeah, ASMR.
Music Dicts.
Yeah.
ASMR.
Anyway. See, I don't know if I'm
This
supposed
is
to...
why I'm asking questions today.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to edit that and make it louder. You know what I mean? That's the editor in me, like, that's really quiet. Should I change that and make it louder? And Tristan's like, no, it's supposed to sound like that.
It's supposed to tinkle your ears.
Anyway.
So
we'll move on.
Would you rather play in an indoor or an outdoor venue?
Ooh, that's tough.
Indoor every day and all day. I'm fat, hairy, and sweat when I'm not hot, so it's indoor for me.
I mean, I like playing outside, but I would probably have to agree playing inside is better.
I'm not saying you're fat and hairy. I'm just saying, like, for me, it's bad.
I mean, I would hope not.
Yeah. I'm not insulting our guest today. I'm just saying that's my answer for those basic facts right there.
No, I mean, depending on, like, what it's for. Like, if it's like Crooked Fest is outside.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time I play inside. And I think it's easier to play inside because when you get outside and you've got all your sound stuff set up,
Acoustics are a lot different.
Are completely different.
Void to null.
Versus if you're like in a smaller space, depending on where if you're playing in a big venue or a small venue, it's easier to get that sound adjusted the right way that you need it to be.
Well, I mean, you also forgot to mention air conditioning. There's that.
Oh, yes.
Too.
True.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I can say about the whole outside thing is like I break strings like crazy when I'm playing outside. Heat, humidity, like you're so like exhausted for, especially if you're doing 3 or 4 hours, but you're like so exhausted that you're just at some point you're just kind of like playing harder than you should. Mm-hmm. I break more strings outside than I do inside, and like my sweat is probably made of French fry grease. So like anytime I sweat on my guitar is like, no, please don't. You know what I mean? Like,
it rusts instantly.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Like, my guitars would be a lot better looking if I went on a diet for, I don't know, about the rest of my life. They'd be really happy with me. But no, I mean, that's my answer to that question. Not that you're asking me because we're interviewing Kelsey, but, like, that's an overwhelming indoors for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other reasons you would say outdoors?
No, I mean, I haven't really played that much outdoors. It's mainly just been indoors.
Indoors is way easier with sound for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Doing outdoor things takes a whole different... not set of skills.
Yes
but
and
just,
no. Yes and no. I mean, I've played in rooms that are terrible to be able to like run sound in.
Also true.
Concrete floors, all that stuff. I mean, you run into your problem rooms where it's just like nothing sounds good.
Well, feedback everywhere.
Yeah, for example, that Bose system I bought that Bose system because it's top of the line, meaning like that it sounds good. I've played rooms with that Bose system and just couldn't do anything with it. Whereas like us playing Crooked Fest, not that we're covering like the size of like Woodstock, but like the two 15-inch speakers that I'm going to be running mains with, like that'll get the job done.
Oh yeah,
and sure. you put them facing certain ways, and like you'll cover enough ground with that to where like EQ matters to an extent, but really at the end of the day, it's sound. You know what I mean? Like I've been to a live concert, and you guys can probably agree to where you'll go see somebody live, and you're like, oh, they don't sound great. But most of the time, you're going to have a fun time, so you don't really care as much about sound.
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong. There's probably some people that'll show up to Crooked Fest and be like, I don't know who's running sound, but
well,
it's
I mean,
awesome.
just look at, like, you've been to Keybank a bunch of times. How many different bands have you heard there that, like, when you were showing me the Farm Aid, everyone that was playing sounded really fucking good. But if you've seen metal bands there, some of them don't. They don't end up sounding nearly as good through those, like, monitors and stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
It just depends on the band, I think.
It's also a lot different EQing something that's, like, rock.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, versus like something that's really metal or rap or EDM. It's different. Yeah. I mean, for every genre it really is. And I mean, you got to know voices when it comes to EQing, you know what I mean? Like really that's a big deal to me. I mean, you look at guitars, it's like, oh, you're not cutting through, throw some mids on it and that'll cut through the mix. It's like
yeah, but vocals really, really do matter.
Voices, it's like you can go from sounding crisp and clean to muddy and you know,
and not want to hear it at all.
Matter of no time at all. So I mean, I don't know. I think, like you said, like it's different, absolutely, running sound indoors and outdoors, but like it's not always easier to run sound inside. You know what I mean?
Because feedback, honestly, you get a lot more feedback in a lot of rooms.
Well,
as
and
opposed to outside.
It's like the Bose system. Kelsey's played with it before because she's played open mic night. Like most generally, I'm gonna set it up behind us because it's made to not feedback, and that's kind of like your monitor.
Yeah.
I don't want that sound behind me. I'll run a monitor with my equalizer and put it up and not run it as loud. That way I can put more sound out front. It's not necessarily made to do that, but you can't do that with those 15-inch PVs. You know what I mean? You can't put those behind the band and expect not to get feedback.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen you play, and I know that you're not one to use a bunch of effects and electronics or anything like that, so I won't really ask you about pedals or anything because I know you don't use those. But when it comes down to guitar, because you primarily play guitar and sing, I mean that's the instrument that you're playing most of the time. I know you're not like a multi-instrumentalist, are you? Do you play any other instruments?
Nope, it's just guitar.
I mean, you played in the band, but like I played sax in the band. I can't play sax anymore.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I was in high school, I was on drumline.
Yeah.
So besides that, just guitar.
Yeah, I mean, I can keep you a simple 4/4 beat, but that's about all I can do on drums too. But so with that being said, with the guitar, like, do you have a favorite brand? Do you have a favorite this or that? Like, just strictly being played, like, do you have a favorite brand that you like to play?
Well, with the guitars that I have, my first guitar that I got was an electric guitar, and it was a Fender Squier. It was in black and white, and that was like the first one that I got.
See, mine was a Fender Strat, and it was red and white.
And like I said, I got that one probably whenever I was in middle school, like 6th grade or something. And then the next guitar I got was just it was an Ibanez. It was a straight acoustic guitar.
No pickups, just acoustic.
No, yeah, it was just straight acoustic. And I'd played with that one for a long time. And then I got a blue, it's like an electric blue Lavelle Custom, which that if I had to pick my favorite electric guitar out of the guitars that I have, that's probably my favorite one.
I don't know if I've ever seen that one before.
Yeah, it's got three pickups. And I love the inlays on it. I mean, it's really, really nice. Like I said, it's like an electric blue color. It's really, really pretty. And then the next guitar that I have and the one that I play with most often is my Washburn. I got that one, I think, in 2013.
Okay. I like the sound of Washburns quite a bit,
oh my
actually,
gosh.
especially their acoustics.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Well,
I love it.
I think that's worth being asked because, like I had said, for me, it's Taylor's. Like, I've always had a soft spot for Taylor's. I mean, to me, a lot of people argue, like, Martins and Taylor's are the top of the line, like, and I'm not going to argue that at all because they are when it comes to acoustic guitars, but, like, I wouldn't want anything to do with a Martin guitar. I've played them. It's not that they sound bad, but the sound that they have compared to a Taylor just doesn't do it for me. So I feel like it's worth being asked, what you prefer to play. I mean, is there any kind of guitar out there that you would like to have or you would like to play that, like, I don't know, a favorite guitar?
Yep, a Taylor, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
And it's crazy because Taylors have become really, really affordable. They've always had like their Taylor, their mini Taylor series and stuff like that, but they have student series or something like that nowadays. And like you hear that, and it almost turns you off. You know what I mean? Especially Tristan being a guitar player, you hear like, these kind of
student series, anything like the Gibson Minis or the Les Paul Minis, and
it almost turns you off. But like these things, my buddy Lance had one, and like they're really, really good guitars. I mean, not to give you prices, but like I've got Taylors that cost thousands of dollars. I know that he paid under $1,000 for his Taylor, and that thing sounds like it's worth a couple $1,000s. I will preach until I'm blue in the face of how good Taylors are. I mean, they're handmade and they sound wonderful. They really, really do, and that makes sense because, like I said, I'm a Taylor guy, so I've just always they hold a soft spot for me. How about electric guitar? Is there any like electric guitar that would be something that you would really want?
Not really. I mean, since I mostly play
acoustic,
then I would definitely go with a Taylor. Like my next guitar, when I can afford it, is definitely going to be a Taylor for sure.
So you said your first one was a Fender Squier, right? A Squier is just like a Strat Mini, basically, right?
It's not even Mini, really. It's just off-brand, more or less.
Well, it's a
not
Fender, though. But
yeah.
It's like a baby Strat, pretty much. Not in size, but I mean, like the
basically.
little brother of a Strat. Do you like the look of a Strat? Like, would that be a guitar that you want, or you're just not interested in having an electric guitar?
No, it's not necessarily that I don't want an electric guitar. I mean, like, I think, too, like, how the look of it is. Like, I like how my Lavelle looks better than my Fender.
Do you know if your Lavelle has humbuckers or if it has single coil pickups in it?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I would ask you what they look like, but like today, that's so deceiving. You know what I mean? That's like that T5, the Taylor T5 I have. It looks like it has like a single coil, like lipstick pickup in it from like the 60s or so.
But it's a humbucker.
And it's a humbucker, yeah. So it looks are deceiving. I was just curious. I didn't know. Like I said, I'm not familiar with this Lavelle that you're talking about, so I couldn't really speak to knowing anything about it.
Well, and I had never heard of it. I mean, I got it for Christmas one year, and like I said, I had never heard of the brand before, but that was the guitar that I played. I played my Washburn and I played my Lavelle whenever I was still in the band. So, and it sounded great whenever I played it. And, I ran it through my amp. I've got a PV amp, and, I didn't really use effects or anything on it. It was either distortion or just a clean tone. But every time I played it, it sounded really good.
Yeah. PV amps, man.
PV is a good brand.
I swear about PV amps, dude. You can drag those things behind your car for
Yep.
fucking 15 miles and they still work just
Oh my
fine.
gosh, yeah. The one,
for like
I mean,
6 years.
not to say that any of them are like less heavy, but the one I have, I mean, it's heavy as can be. I mean, it's crazy.
You don't have to curse. I was like, is Kelsey going to say a curse word on our podcast? No, but like I straight up I believe in PVs. I think they're really good amps, especially for the money. You know, they're not super expensive all the time, especially like your Fender reverbs and your stuff like that are. Not the Fender reverbs are
I have
crazy
a little
expensive.
100 watt that I only paid $120 for.
What's that?
A PV amp.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, they're very affordable.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about something crazy. You know, you said you kind of had a guitar being this with Lavelle, right?
Yes.
So it's called.
Yeah.
And you didn't really know much about it. My mother bought me a guitar I didn't know much about. It was called an Esteban back in the day.
Oh, okay, I think I've heard of those.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what it was until I started watching infomercials with Esteban on them. I just remember he had them long fingernails. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, that's disgusting.
Like Spanish guitar?
No, always just Spanish guitar player. Like, it was on that, what's that, the Home Shopping Network? My mother, like, she got conned into buying, like, 2 of them for me and my brother. And, like, my brother never played it, you know what I mean?
Which brother?
Justin. I don't know what my mother was thinking. Like, thank you for buying me those guitars because it kind of molded me into the guitar player. That Esteban guitar made me the guitar player that I am today. But like, I'm sorry, Mother. I'm pretty sure that got smashed at some point. Like, we thought we were cool in high school and we did a show one time. And somebody's like, we should smash a guitar. I'm like, funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, I had a little
Esteban
Fender
at the house.
I had a Fender that I got when I was in like 6th grade, and we didn't have any strings on it or anything like that. We decided to smash it like dumbasses, but probably shouldn't have.
Haven't smashed any.
I was going to say, I don't figure that you've smashed any guitars, Kelsey. You don't look like the guitar smasher.
No.
It's fun.
I don't peg you as a Pete Townsend.
No.
Get yourself a little $100 guitar and do it one time on a show.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Just bring it up and you know, especially if I'm playing with the band. You know,
like I hate to like to put you in a box, Kelsey, but I just don't see you smashing a guitar. Like I just don't see that in her stage show.
It might happen.
And now for my next song, I'm gonna smash this guitar real quick.
It might happen.
Just don't let it be that Taylor that you want.
Oh, absolutely not. I would not.
I don't know if I could be friends with anybody that would smash a Taylor.
Everyone will have to come to Crooked Fest and see if she smashes a guitar.
That's great PR right there. Just like, hey, will Kelsey smash a guitar or not? We'll find out at Crooked Fest.
Stay tuned to find out.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you know, we really appreciate you coming again.
Especially on such short notice.
And recording, yeah, especially on short notice, because I'll let you guys in on the story here, and you know, we'll give you a little peer behind the curtain here. So I do all the edits. Tristan just shows up for interviews. And he talks and he says, yeah, okay, and stuff like that a lot. I'm actually working on stay tuned for that in the future. I'm working on just like an audio clip of just all his yeah, okay, one-word responses. It's probably going to be like 35 and a half hours long. I will release it. Don't tempt me. But anyway.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I sat down to work. We kind of rushed getting Kelsey in the studio and getting her recorded the last time. As I said, this is the second time she's been in here because I really wanted to get another episode or two out of some of these musicians that are playing Crooked Fest. And, you know, my editing usually, unless I'm sitting down and like really saying, hey, I'm going to put forth, you know, 4 or 5 straight hours to editing. And I know some people out there probably thinking like, this guy takes 4 or 5 hours to edit the show. It sounds like garbage, but I mean, like if I sit down and do it, I can knock it out in probably half of a day if I really, really want to, but most of the times it spans over a couple of days. So I'd started working on it yesterday, started editing, and you know, as I've alluded to everybody that listens before, it takes a while to edit because Tristan's volume is all over the place. I mean, I hardly ever, and I don't say this because I'm like really good at my job or anything, because this isn't necessarily my job, it's kind of a pastime, but that just shows you how good I am at it. Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. My voice kind of stays at an even level, and you know, when you're speaking to somebody that might be considered, you know, annoying or boring, but when you're listening to a podcast,
it helps.
It helps, yeah. So my time is usually spent editing voices, mostly Tristan's, you know, volume. So anyway, it takes a while. So I started working on it yesterday and, you know, did a couple things today, went to open up the laptop and start working on it again today, and the file wasn't found. And apparently as I searched the internet for an answer to my problems, it basically told me that the file had been corrupted and it was all lost. So I texted Kelsey, and I think she took it as a joke. She was like, are you kidding? I'm like, I wish I was kidding. I really did. Because as we said before, Kelsey lives in Davis. I live in Lewis County. Any way you want to look at it, it's about an hour, 45 minutes, somewhere around their drive. So, I mean, once again, good on her for driving down here on short notice for us to get this recorded, because we know we wanted to get this out and we wanted to share it with people. But the file was corrupted. It wasn't there. I was a little upset. She was a little upset. Tristan...
Listen, I was upset way before you texted me about that.
Yeah, he was already upset.
Rest in peace, Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, that can be said for sure.
Such a big loss.
I always kind of wondered if Charlie Daniels was the main character in The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And I wonder, whether you believe or what you believe in the religion realm, if he's dueling the devil right now. He's playing the fiddle with that big oversized hat. I love that hat.
Having a party,
like
probably.
Who can pull off a big oversized hat like that? I digress. Anyway, so we had to get Kelsey back in here again to do another recording. If you guys hear this, which I really hope that you do, then you should, if you see Kelsey, pat her on the back. Maybe not pat her on the back because, the corona and everything. Maybe just, wear your mask and, shout, hey, thanks for recording that episode. Something like that,
I'll take anything.
Well, Tristan said that before. Let's just say. I'm just kidding. But anyway, seriously, it's worth being said that she took the time, short notice, to drive back down here and record another episode with us. We appreciate her for being here. We appreciate her for playing Crooked Fest. We hope you guys are there to see her set. We really, really, really do. Is there anything that you would like to say to our listeners or the people that are attending Crooked Fest or that are kind of on the fence about attending Crooked Fest, Kelsey?
Come out to Crooked Fest. You're going to see a ton of different styles of music, bands, solo acts, me being one of them. Just come out and support local musicians, because like Josh said, I live in Davis right now. I used to live in Harrison County, but I lived in Davis for coming up on 3 years. So these musicians and bands are coming from all over the place. So just come out and support. I mean, it costs $10 for the whole day. Come out. You can camp the night of and, bring your own food. I'm just kind of throwing in some promotion here too.
Yeah, there you go. Great plug by Kelsey. And I think it needs to be said, as Tristan said earlier, I went and checked out the location today. I should have done it earlier. I hadn't done it earlier. As we've said before, camping spots will be first come, first serve. There's not there's room, I don't know how many people are coming. We're going to have to see, but first come, first serve. So if you plan on camping, I suggest that you get there early and make a day of it. I really, really do, because I can't promise that we're going to have room for everybody.
Especially if you roll in at 5 or 6 o'clock, something
Exactly.
like that, you might not be able to camp. Also, it might need to be said that the campsite is a little bit farther down than when we're having the concert. Not too much farther, though. Maybe a mile.
No, not just the campsite. There is going to be camping there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But if it is overflowed, like I said, first come, first serve, there is another camping site it's literally, I marked the mileage on my car today. It's 2.2 miles away from where we're playing at. It doesn't feel like 2.2 miles because you're not on Route 19. You're in the sticks, so it takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to get to where the other campsite is if you were to have to stay there. I've been told that we're going to try to keep, not that there's going to be a bunch of RVs. I don't know. There could be. Everybody could come in an RV. But we're going to try to keep nothing but tents where the show is going to happen. If you were to bring an RV or a bigger camper or something like that, we'll take that to the camping site, and then you would just have to drive to the show. But like I said, there is camping available. First come, first serve. We don't know what to expect. So like I said, try to get there early, because if you want a camping spot, you should be there early to be able to claim your spot. Also found out today that there will be food there. There'll be a vendor that's going to be selling food. I'm not sure about all the food, but there will be food. It's not just going to be snacks and stuff. There'll be actual food there, so there'll be food there to purchase. So bring some cash, because I'm not 100% sure they're going to be accepting credit cards. All right, dickheads, we've came to the end of the episode. Once again, Kelsey, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was good to be back again. Even though we recorded an hour's worth last time.
Yeah, she was here literally on Friday, so she's thinking it's been far too long.
No, I mean, it was good to get back down here and you asked me some questions that you hadn't asked me before. So it was kind of good to give you some, brand new answers to some questions, and it was good to hang out with you guys again. And
it was very nice to get to know you, and I'm excited to see you at Crooked Fest for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tristan's tightening his tie a little bit over there, saying, I thought of all these brand new questions. But once again, thank you. We appreciate you. Dickheads, thanks for listening. We'll see you again on the next episode of the Music Dicks.